So I wanted to talk today about um, my childhood a little bit and growing up Haitian versus American or Americanized life. When I say American, I'm specifically referring to um, white people or just anyone who's been Americanized who came to the States. Because that's my situation. My parents are both Haitian, um, and me and my sisters are first generation Haitians for our family. So that's what I mean when I say American, I guess. Just because that's how my family referred, that's what they meant when they referred to Americans. Now, I'm not saying anything about the white people. I'm not hating on anybody white. I'm just saying that that's what it was like in my family. Anyway, so I just want to talk about the differences between the two. Number one, greetings. In a Haitian community and in the Haitian culture, when you see people, you kiss them on the cheek. So you literally just like touch cheek to cheek and you just make a kissing sound, make a kissing sound. That's how you say hello to people. While, you also say hello and hi, whatever, but you kiss them. Whereas in white society, most often, people usually, they might greet with a hug or something, but usually you just kind of say hi or like shake hands or something. And like when you go to a party, like a Haitian party, the worst is when there's like 18 people or like 20 people that you're just walking in, like you gotta kiss everybody at the party. You kiss everybody. You say hi to everyone. So like you literally have to like hi, 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 hi. Like you go from person to person, or you're being really rude if you don't. Whereas I'm sure if I walked into like a barbecue, like a white or Americanized barbecue, I could just be like, hey, everybody. And everyone would just be like, hi, and that's that. But yeah, so that's one of the differences. Two, Haitian parents don't apologize. They are just not known to say sorry. It's like a thing. It's universal. I've asked other Haitian people. Their parents in general just don't say sorry. Americanized parents or white parents are very good about, giving credit where credit is due, because Haitian parents don't do that very often. American parents will give credit where credit is due, and they'll also say sorry if they wrong their child. So, like, there was one time when my father used to make me eat creamed corn for breakfast. He thought it was, like, healthy. Like, Haitian people have a thing with corn. Corn isn't that good for you. It's, like, all starch, and it just runs right through you. It's not good. But he used to make me eat creamed corn for breakfast. And one time he got creamed corn that like didn't have salt in it or something. And so it had like no flavor, and I was eating it and I was like, oh, this is so gross. And he was like, "What manger," which basically means you're gonna eat it. Really rough. And so I was like crying and I was like, I wanna eat this, it's so nasty. And I was just like eating it. And then he like sat down and like with his bowl of creamed corn and then realized that it was like not tasty, and he was just like, oh man, this is gross and nasty and sorry that you're eating it. Except he didn't say sorry. He was kind of just like, and then like threw it out. So they never say sorry, whereas American parents can acknowledge their faults and apologize. Number three, addressing your parents. Now this is a difference between Haitian children and Americanized or American children. Those are like the same thing. So basically, with Haitian children, no, with American children, I've noticed that American kids address their parents any which way. Now that doesn't fly in Haitian culture. American kids will be like, Mom, I hate you. You're such a bitch. You don't do that. You just don't do that in Haitian community. If you talk like that to your parents and you're within arm's length, if they can reach you, you're gonna get slapped. Basically, you're gonna get hit from some direction. Something's gonna hit you. I've been it's going to happen. It's going to go down. Your parents will throw down if you use any kind of profanity in front of them, anything like that. Now, I'm speaking specifically from a very conservative, like Haitians in general are more conservative than American families, but my parents are extra conservative because we were like raised Christian and they're very conservative Christians. So that adds extra like bite when it comes to stuff like that. And American parents, I feel like they just let that BS fly. They're just okay with it. Or they're just like, well, my son or daughter is old enough to talk to me. But that doesn't, you're never old enough with Haitian parents. Number 4, Haitian parents are very rough people. With like everything. So, for example, my dad is really rough about waking us up. So, like, a lot of times we'd like fall asleep in their bed. Like, my mom would be watching a show or something, and we'd just be like snuggling, and like we'd fall asleep in the bed. And then when my dad was like ready to go to sleep, he wouldn't be like, hey, honey, like an American parent would, and be like, hey, you should get up and go to your room and go to sleep. My dad would like slap you. He'd be like, live it, live it, live it, live it, live it, which basically is get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. And then he'd like shake you and hit you very roughly and be like, why didn't you fall asleep in your own bed? And like, he was just very rough. And I feel like in general, Haitian parents are very rough around the edges. They're like, if American parents are like round, smooth balls, Haitian parents are like the most angular geometric shape you can think of. I don't know what that is. Something with 10 sides. That's what Haitian parents are. They're just very not round and smooth. Number 5, punishment. Punishment. Haitian kids have had many a spanking. So with American parents, they ground their child. Haitian parents don't know what that means. Grounding is not a word in their vocabulary. It just doesn't come up in their dictionaries. So, you know, an American family, they told Bethany she could be out till 10, right? But Bethany rolls in at 2. So Bethany gets home and her father's like, Bethany, I don't know what you were doing out this late. There's nothing to be doing out at 2 a.m. in the morning. Therefore, you are grounded because this is serious, young lady, and we don't appreciate this. And, you know, you're going to go to school and you're going to come home, and that is that. But you are grounded. Ain't none of that in a Haitian household. None of that. Okay? First of all, you wouldn't think about rolling in at 2 a.m. if you had a curfew at 10. But if you did, Haitian people are not going to ground you. Haitian parents have a series of progressively more severe repercussions for your actions. So in the first category, number 1 at the very bottom, your parents will be disappointed in you. Now, if they're just disappointed in you, they won't talk to you, right? So it sucks because they're upset with you, but then at the same time, you're like, oh, well, you're not talking about it with me. You're kind of upset. I go to my room, whatever. But number 2, which is the next tier up, literally, they will give you a tongue lashing. They will lash you with their words. They will cut you up, okay? And the worst part about a tongue lashing isn't the fact that they're chewing you out. It's the fact that they don't shut up about it. They will go on and 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 just give you like they will come up with the moon and the stars to make you guilty of. Like, everything is a problem at this point. Like, every bad thing you've ever done in your life, they will bring it up and just, it will be compilation upon compilation of every bad thing you've ever done. They just don't stop. Whereas the next level is what we call getting a beating, or what white people would probably call a spanking. Um, but a beating is usually with a belt. It's usually with a belt or with their hand or something, and they'll just like, slap you. But we call it, in Creole, we call it a bâton, which is basically like it's a bâton translates to a beating. That's basically what that means. And then number 4, which is at the top, in my household, we called that getting the beat down of your life. Now, the beat down of your life basically means you're going to die. So you had to do something like really bad for that. Like one time, I think I was like fooling around in a prayer or something, and I was like making faces with my sister, and my dad gave me the face. Like he opened his eyes while he was praying and gave me the face. He gave me the eyes, and that was like, you're about to get the beat down of your life as soon as I say amen. So basically, you were like on your hands and knees. You were like, Jesus, please, I'm so sorry. Save me, please. That kind of thing. Definitely, that's called beat down of your life. That's when they pull the blinds down and they close the windows to muffle your screams as you run around the house to like save yourself. So that's the 4 tiers of punishment. But the upside, I have to say, the upside to getting, having your parents disappointed with you, or getting a tongue lashing, or getting a beat down, or a bâton, basically, then you get sent to your room for the evening. Maybe if you haven't eaten, you come back out and you eat or something. But then it's over and done with, and like they're not gonna hold it against you. They're not like, if you got beat on Thursday, they're not gonna be like, oh, Saturday night you're not going out with your friends because you got in trouble. Most of the time, you're kind of off the hook. After that, unless they're like heated, then you're in trouble. But otherwise, you're probably okay. But yeah, so those were just a few of the differences between Haitian parents growing up Haitian and American parents growing up in America. I don't know. Let me know what you think. These are just a few that I could think of. And yeah, topic of the day, the end.